On the YouTubes?
On the YouTube.
Now we're live.
On the
On the
YouTubes.
tubers.
That's right. All right. What is this? Episode 45.
145.
Okay. Hold on. Intro.
The Sunday Morning Linux Review, starring Mary Talmadge, Tony Bemis, and Matt Enders as the Beaver.
All right.
That's right. And this is Tony Bemis.
Matt Enders.
And Mary Tomich.
And this is episode 145.
We're back. No,
It's back.
it's back.
It's back. Yeah.
It's back.
We're also back.
Yeah,
but
but
for better or for worse.
right. That's in reference to Crunch Bang.
Yeah. So it didn't stay dead long.
Right.
That's
Because
right.
our last episode was
Ode.
Ode to Crunch Bang, and
Hmm.
now it's Welcome Back.
Yeah, there's that song. Welcome back. Come on, Matt. I know you can do it.
No, because the only thing that's going through my head right now is the Welcome Back Cotter theme.
Yeah, that
song.
was it. That was it.
That wasn't the real song, though. That was the one that was on the radio, was it? They adapted it for the
Oh, well, I
show,
was
did-
thinking of the
did-
Cotter song. Yeah.
Okay.
For those of you who are not old enough, never mind. We'll move on. We'll move on. So, all right, Tony.
All right. Yeah.
All right, well, I'll tell you
Tony
what I
has
did.
no
then.
idea
Yeah,
what we
what
were
you do,
talking
Mary?
about.
What did That's right. Well, you gather your thoughts because I know you're over there. Not only is Tony participating, but he's controlling the soundboard and he's doing all of that technical
Not
stuff.
only is he a participant of the show, he's
Mhm.
also the engineer.
That's right.
right.
And
And
Matt and I are
producer.
just the pretty faces. But anyway, yeah, I'll just start off. You know, I think on our last show I mentioned I had signed up for that Python programming course. I'm happy to announce I'm still in it.
Are you up to? Are you current in it though?
Yes.
'Cause technically, I'm still in the edX I signed up for too, but haven't done a single thing.
Yeah. No, this was. I am, and I have vowed to complete it, which will be sometime in April. I've already written my first Python program.
Ooh,
Uh,
more than Hello World.
That's true. I wasn't even going to say that. But yeah, that was my very, very first one. But I wrote another one, and you just simply stick in a Fahrenheit temperature, and it converts it to Celsius.
Ooh.
Hey.
I think I can do that in Bash.
I'm sure you can, and probably a lot more. But anyway, so yeah, next week we'll be getting into functions. Although I've used a function already. When you accept the input from a user, there's a function called, I think in Python 3 it's called input,
I do
but
that with the read command.
in Python 2 it's called raw_input, and then so anyway, so that's what I did. The other thing is that I well, and we'll get into this later in the show, and I spent some time reading a book. So
Oh yes.
yeah, so we'll be talking about that.
It's in our half book review.
That's right. You know, and that's what I'm calling it.
I know. I saw.
The SMLR half book review. But
But
I'm
it'll be the whole book.
yeah, that's right. I'm reviewing both halves. Although there's a natural break in the book as far as content. So, and we'll talk
Oh,
about that when we get
all
there.
right.
And the only other thing I did is those of you who follow DistroWatch know that Netrunner just had a release, and they are now defaulting to KDE Frameworks 5. The 5.x series. I think it was 5.2. So I thought, oh, I want to take a look at this. So I downloaded Netrunner and just fired it up. I fired the live CD up, and from a user perspective, I know underneath the hood there's a lot of changes for developers and
Yeah,
things.
but
I
you
mean,
probably
to
don't see
extend it
anything at
forward.
all from-
The only thing that I really noticed is just,
Is your CPU usage put it off the chart?
I'll tell you, for the live CD, it seemed to be a little faster. But I'm using my Bemis hosting testing laptop.
All right.
Yeah, the Broadcom chip, Tony.
Oh, we forgot about that.
Yeah.
We told you we'd replace it, didn't we?
No, that's fine. I did that for the joke value. But
Oh,
anyway,
okay.
they are now going with more of a flat theme, and so it's. And Tony, actually, I thought of Cinnamon when I looked at their menu because there's some resemblance there.
Oh,
So yeah, so I took a look at it, and, but that's what I did
All right.
that I care to talk about.
What I did was WordPress pissed me off so bad because I don't know how
That you
many
bought
of-
the company? No.
I could go there and kill them all with an axe, I would.
That's a good joke.
But if you've ever used WordPress and tried to make it bend to your will, forget about it. Did you ever Tony, use WordPress a lot?
Yeah, I do.
Did you ever try and adjust the white space margins on the right and left?
Yes. And it doesn't work very well, does it?
Oh my God. It's a freaking nightmare.
Is it?
And
yeah,
I,
because there's
I spent literally 4 days trying to adjust the margins to the way I wanted them.
Mhm.
Could not do it. So I gave up, threw WordPress away, hand coded my site in straight HTML, and that's the way it is. And now there's content because I'm done fighting with WordPress.
Well, the problem primarily is that you could make the adjustment, but you couldn't save them.
I couldn't. No,
No,
I
what-
can't make
Okay.
it look the way I want it to.
what it is the theme that he's using. There's multiple parts, and each of those has a border or an edge.
Hmm.
And if
Can't
you're
you get the
editing one or
CSS?
the other, it's in CSS. So, and because they're all in divs, so there's the main content has a div, then the sidebar has
Mhm.
a div, and then
Oh
the
my God.
the entire page has a div.
Oh,
and,
yes,
and
it's-
then the post has a div. So you have
It's-
to go through and
it's
check every single
horrible.
one to make sure
Horrible.
it spans out, because the post, or you might expand the entire page and the entire content, but not the post. And so the post would say smaller than the rest of the page.
Yep.
And
It was just a
It's-
nightmare.
yeah,
I
it's a lot of
could
work.
not
I mean,
make. I
if
could
you're
not
good
make,
with CSS, then go for it.
yeah,
But
I could not make WordPress bend to my will,
Mm.
so it's done.
yeah,
You're dead to me.
So now I have to. So I don't get comments now because I have to figure out a way to still get comments. in
there is
my-
a way. Somebody was
Mm.
telling me about it the other day. I'll look it up for you.
All right.
But
Excellent.
what you do is you throw in some, I think it's JavaScript that you throw in there, or maybe it's an iframe, and there's another service that runs all your commenting,
Oh.
but it shows up on every single page just like
Excellent.
it would in.
But will I be
Oh.
able to? Is there some way to hold them for
Moderation.
I think so.
moderation so that I can get rid of the spam?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure there is.
Okay.
Yeah.
Huh.
Excellent.
So you won't get those beauty supply emails?
No, but I'm thankfully done with WordPress. So,
Okay.
and if any of you want to check it
Huzzah,
out,
huzzah.
there's now a little bit, just some content on bashjunkie.org. So if you want to go there and check it out, it's there.
Good.
All right. All right. So my 2 weeks have been busy as normal with regular family stuff and trying to unpack house, and then I decided to go ahead and build my PF Sense box. I took an old shuttle computer, and actually, if you're watching the podcast, the video, you can see the very bottom of it up above Matt's head.
Oh yeah, sitting on top of the switch.
There.
Yeah.
How's that look? Just like the weather, you know?
That's right. That's the very bottom of it, and it's running. Well, I looked on their page, and they said you need a minimum of like a 500 megahertz processor.
Is it 32 or 64-bit system that it's running in?
I think it's a 32-bit,
Oh.
and it's a like minimum of, or no, it said if you have a 500 meg connection out to the internet, then you need at least a 2 gig processor. And I looked at the specs on this, and it's a 2.6
All
P4
right.
with a gig of RAM, and I'm like, hey, that's great. And it's a gig of hard drive space is all you need. So I got I took out the hard drive because the hard drive was loud in that. It was an old like 20 gig drive.
Oh,
So
That is old.
that is old.
I took that out, and I got one of those compact flash adapter to IDE
Mm-hmm.
and a compact flash card, and the pair was like $20. And then it was giving me issues, wouldn't boot because the BIOS was hanging because the compact flash didn't have the right whatever format of,
Flags or something? Oh.
partition table that I was looking for.
Yeah, the boot flag wasn't set probably, right?
No, it
Well,
just wouldn't.
couldn't
boot
you
to the
just
CD.
DD what was on the
It
hard drive
hanging.
over
the whole
to it?
BIOS would hang. The whole computer would hang.
Hmm.
I wouldn't get past
Hmm.
checking that hard drive
Huh.
or compact flash. What thought was a hard drive.
Right, right, right.
Anyway, so I got the way I got around that is I unplugged it. It got past the post and then plugged it back in. So when PF Sense booted off the CD, then it would recognize the drive and install to it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So it was before you had anything installed to it.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
And then because I did it that way, it wrote everything to the drive, but when it went to boot, the uh, the BSD boot manager didn't see
know.
things right,
Right.
and it wouldn't boot to it. It kept on just
'Cause it couldn't find
recycling,
it.
couldn't
Couldn't
find it.
find it.
So
Okay.
now that it had the partition table on there, then the BIOS was okay with it. So I just ran the install again, and everything was
Oh,
good.
excellent.
Oh,
Beautiful.
nice.
So instead
right.
of learning how the BSD boot manager worked,
Mhm.
plus trying to figure out how to get in there to edit it, that would have taken me
What do they
hours.
use as a boot manager?
I have no clue. The
I use
PFSense
Grub.
boot manager.
Yeah.
She uses Grub. So
I was gonna say I thought it
I
was.
know,
I thought it
it's-
was Grub.
well,
different
PC.
than
I think
Grub.
PC
PFSense may be different.
PCBSD uses
Oh.
Grub. Yeah.
Anyway, so got that installed, and then for
So
the
are you
last
filtering
2 weeks,
packets now?
I got all the
as
way
we
up
speak?
until
Cool.
all the way up until 2 days ago. I've been fighting with it, and I finally figured it out. That because I have two things I want to forward through, or three things. I want to forward so I can SSH into my box here, and I have OwnCloud running, so I want to get to my own cloud, which was on 443, so it runs over HTTPS,
Mm-hmm.
and then I have my Plex server I want to get to. Those are the only three things I want open to get in.
Mm-hmm.
And with I have ATT Uverse, and everything would work great except for my own cloud. It would start like I would set it, and I would test it here, and it would work great. I would take my phone, I would take it off my Wi-Fi, like as if I'm coming from the external,
Mm-hmm.
and it would connect great. And then I'd get to work the next day, and it's not connecting. Nothing's working. I'm like, what is going on?
Wow.
And I fought with this for almost 2 weeks. And then I finally did some Googling. And
See, guys, never. I would have Googled the second day.
well,
You
no,
guys
because I
never. It's
couldn't
like
tell what it
asking for
was.
directions. Oh.
No, and really, what actually I
Google the
thought somebody
problem.
was I thought
Okay.
somebody was trying to hack into my system, because
Mhm.
every time I would connect, instead of giving me my cert that I created for my own cloud, it was giving me some mini something web cert.
That was from the Uverse box, wasn't it?
No, and that's where I started Googling it, and I
Oh.
found that whenever you have a wireless receiver with your Uverse, they put in a separate access point,
Yes.
and that separate access point is the Uverse, your modem automatically forwards 443 to that. So, and I saw that, I'm like, oh, I'll just change it, and I changed it like 4 times throughout the week, and then finally I Googled it. So I ended up changing my my own cloud port to a different port, and now it's working. Oh, I couldn't tell if it was PFSense wasn't showing right, or if it
Mhm.
was
So do you have
the
this
modem or-
in front of your AT&T box or behind your AT&T box?
the AT&T box is the modem, so I can't have anything in front of it. So it goes ATT, and then the
PF.
internal ATT stuff. So all my Uverse stuff is plugged into that, and what I'm going to call my guest internet
Mm-hmm.
is they can connect to the ATT box, and then all of my internal network it goes PF box, PF sense,
Mm-hmm.
and then it goes. Sorry, noises and alerts. So it goes ATT, PF sense, and then the internal, I have my switch and my router, or my switch and my wireless access point.
Right, but you have your internal wireless from PFSense
Yeah, it's
set
on
up
PFSense.
set up on the Red network, right?
No, because I want to. My internal is I want that to be. I want to be able to get to my own stuff. I don't want it to be separated. So
Yeah,
I
but
don't
it-
give anybody except for you two are the only ones that have that password now to get on that. Nobody else is going to get it. They're going to get the ATT
The guest. Yeah.
network internet, and that's on the red side of my PFSense.
Right. Normally, this is what they recommend: is that all your wireless should be in the red zone,
Yeah,
so that you can't access any of your internal servers from the wireless.
right.
Just because wireless is breakable.
Yeah. No, I understand that. It's
It's
just
the weakest link.
right.
Mhm.
And if I was running a corporation or something, that's how I would have it too. But it's
Because at work we're that way
mhm,
also.
Hmm.
yeah.
Like if you're on the wireless, you can't connect to any of the
Other resources.
internal network stuff. You have to be on the wired. And then
Mhm.
but we also have not only do we have that, but then we also have a guest network for when we have visitors.
Well, you guys are sort of ultra hardened also, but being a
We are PCI
hosting provider,
compliant.
yeah.
Yes.
But if
Anyway,
somebody was on the wireless and they VPN'd into it, that's different.
Yes.
Okay.
If you're on our wireless and then you would connect through the VPN,
Wirelessly.
yes,
Okay.
then you would
Then
be
you
able
would-
to access
okay.
right,
internal.
because
just
at that point you're a VPN user, not a wireless user.
Right.
Ah,
Even though
okay.
you're using the wireless to get to the VPN,
I see.
you're a VPN user.
Yeah, because when I
Because all your traffic is encrypted by the VPN.
yeah, because when I was working in doing that software stuff, that knowledge management software, that was one of the things that customers couldn't get to their knowledge management stuff if they were wireless on their network because of the way it had been set up. And
Right, because they were in the red zone.
yeah, exactly. And I didn't I mean I knew at the time that was the problem, and so we could let them know, hey, you're going to have to be VPN'd in order to access that resource. But they somehow thought, again, this is at the user level, not at the IT level, that they should just be able to get on their wireless and be able to get to it.
No, because it's the red zone.
Yeah, exactly. And I didn't appreciate the
Especially
whole.
being law offices, you would think that they would have that like
Well,
drilled into people.
Well, yeah, but attorneys, I'd say they
I
got minds of
I
their
follow
own.
Popat.
So
He's a pretty with it attorney. He plays D&D.
yeah, but not all of them are. Yeah, but their interest is in the law, not technology necessarily, although some are very technically oriented. But that's in the past, so
Yes,
okay. Wow.
that was pretty much it.
All right.
Okay. So wow, that was a good discussion. I learned a lot there. I guess we're gonna move on to
Yeah. Well, you know what? Just so the moral of my story is, if you have Uverse, you can't forward port 443. Also,
Well, if you're using a Uverse wireless, you can get Uverse without the wireless.
you're right. If you're using the wireless thing, they put a box in there that they open ports to. So you may not want any of your own personal stuff inside the Uverse side. You want it firewalled off again.
Oh, I connected a separate router to Uverse, and so
Yeah.
I do it that way.
Yep. And that's in essence what my PF Sense is doing.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
it's a router.
Yeah.
So.
All right.
So because Uverse can look at your whole network.
I know, and that's why I got my own router. I thought
Exactly.
you're
That's
not
why
looking
I
at
used-
any of
I
my
used to do it
crap.
too. I used to put them behind a router and run a separate router.
I told them
Yeah.
that too, because they said something to me. Oh, you've got blah blah blah, and I'm thinking that's none of your blankety blank
That's what-
business.
They did the same thing to me, and I went out the next day and bought a router.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. Okay,
All right. So yeah, I guess we're ready to go.
that concludes the tinfoil hat segment of the show.
Yeah.
And then on to
Matt, what's happening with the kernel?
The kernel. And we have the main line is 3.19. That was on 2.9. And then we have the newest stable kernels 3.18.7 on 2.11. I think, when would we record the show last?
2 weeks ago.
Thanks, Mary.
so if
There's a
today's the
calendar in the
21st,
Lord.
I have no
it's
idea.
the 7th or
Seventh.
6th or 7th.
No, it's the 8th. The
The
8th.
8th? Okay.
Mr. Show Prep.
All right. Let's start the kernel news over.
All right. All right.
All right. So with the main line is at 3.19 or 3.19, which was released on 2.9. And the newest stable kernel is 3.18.7, released on 2.11. And the newest long-term kernel is 3.14.33, released on 2.11. Then we have a long-term kernel 3.12.38, released on 2.19. Long-term kernel 3.10.69, released on 2.11. And long-term kernel 3.2.67, released on 2.20. And that's all for the kernel news.
Hey, no, it's not.
It isn't.
No, I have a question for you, Matt.
Okay.
Did you see the discussion this week about whether there's going to be that new release, whether they should roll to 4.0
Right,
or
4.0,
go to
yep, yep.
3.20 or whatever it would be
Yes,
next?
exactly. And did you see my? Because Linus also posted
put
on
a-
G Plus about it.
Yeah, I saw that, and then he put a poll so you
Yes,
could vote.
And I voted for the 4.0. And did you see my comment about the 4.0?
No, because there were hundreds of
That's
comments.
why I told you it was 55th one down.
Okay. Oh, I remember when you said that. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
you
right.
told me that.
Oh,
I-
did I
yeah.
tell you?
Yeah.
Okay. I made some comment. I made some funny comment about that, but I never went and saw it.
Right.
So
No, yeah, and my vote was for 4.0 because it's gonna this kernel, when it's released, is going to include hot patching. And-
I think that's
and
significant
I
enough
think
to warrant.
That's exactly what I said. I said
Yep.
I think hot patching is definitely significant enough to warrant a 4.0 release. So
I hope he takes your advice.
I do too.
All right.
All right.
It's on
Sounds
to.
good. Yep. On to
Tony, what's going on with the Linux distributions this week?
the distros for this week. So
Yes.
we're going to go back to the 9th and start with the NST, which is the Network Security Toolkit 20-6535. And they are a distro based on Fedora with a set of tools for network security testing. I went to their website and I'm like, when you first look at their like development tools or whatever they use, it looks like it's a surveying one. There's a bunch
yes.
of mapping programs. But then if you go back to the very top of the page and actually read the text instead of just looking at pictures.
Still looking at the pictures. I liked how you laughed at that, Tony. That was funny. Yeah.
It has a link over to, it says the top 25 security tools by insecure.org. And it looks like, and that's what they're including in this.
Oh.
It says the majority of the tools published in this article are available in the toolkit. And it looks pretty interesting. There's things like John the Ripper and TCP dump and Metasploit and Cain and Abel and Wireshark and a lot of good stuff. Snort, that's right. And Nessus. I have no clue what that is.
Oh.
Aircrack.
Nessus.
Backtrack.
Why? Yeah, I used to know what that was.
Netcat.
I've never really used it, but I read about it once, and I slept at a Holiday Inn
Did you
Express.
say backtrack?
I did.
Okay.
Backtrack. Kismet. There you go.
Anyway,
kinda
so
nice
a lot
how-
of cool stuff.
And isn't it nice how they organized it too?
I suppose. Why?
Well, I liked how they've got it set up. I mean, sometimes when you go to a site and you're looking at stuff, it's just you have to really dive in to try to pick stuff out. But these guys have got each tool set up
Oh
separately.
yeah,
You know what I mean?
yeah. It's pretty nice.
And the other thing too that's include. Oh, I'm sorry. That's it. Oh, that's it.
It's on the
Sektools.org.
sektools.org.
Okay, excuse
Yeah.
me. I didn't realize you were on a different site. But the other thing too is that they've got in this release, NST has got the display of a dynamic lat and long grid for Google Maps. So you can drop coordinates and things on.
All right.
Right.
Well, all
Cool.
right.
Then next up we have is Kali Linux 1.1.0.
The long awaited.
That's right. Up. And well, it's just a point release.
Yeah.
Of the
but it
Debian
took them
project.
3 years to put this point release out.
Oh yeah.
Did it?
Yes.
Are you sure?
Yeah.
Wow.
But it's also a specialist for software tools for
It says it right
penetrating
there on the page. You don't have to go anywhere, Mary.
right,
All right.
and
Um,
forensics.
You were so you said that with such conviction. I thought it can't be
Did you
true.
say 3 years? It
Yeah.
says almost 2 years.
Yeah, and then read the next line.
Out loud.
I don't. It says after almost 2 years of public development and another year behind the scenes. Well, it
2
was
plus 1.
behind the
Okay, we get it,
scenes.
Matt. We get it. It just took us a little longer.
I have to add while we're broadcasting.
I know. Not only does he have to read and be the engineer, but we're forcing him to do
To do
math.
multiplication.
Yeah.
Well, I'm sorry. I did. I never said I could do math.
Multiplication is just simply sequential addition.
Oh, there you go.
All right.
Oh, I like that
Alright.
answer. That's good.
Yeah. Well, that's when I was trying to reduce mathematics
Oh, and
to its simplest.
me and the network engineer got into a discussion. I don't know why I get into these discussions with him about how basic math
Hmm.
is not mathematics.
It's arithmetic.
Addition, subtraction, multiplication, and division is not mathematics.
Right.
What is it? Arithmetic?
I don't know. Finally,
It's figuring. Figuring.
finally we agreed to call it a component of mathematics.
Hey, remember the Beverly Hillbillies? What do they call it?
I don't
Figuring
know.
or
figuring, yeah,
or
something. Like
All right.
All right, that's our signal from Tony to move on.
that. All right.
Next up we have is the UCS or Univention Corporate Server 4.0 -1, and it's their first point update for the Debian-based enterprise class server.
Yeah.
And we've talked about it in the past. They have a bunch of cool stuff for corporations like Active Directory integration and other stuff like that.
Yeah, but one thing, if you do download the free version, you have to opt out of the anonymous usage statistics that they collect. So, and they tell you how to do that. You have to dig down into some little checkbox on some screen someplace. But if you don't do that, then you're basically going to be sending anonymous usage stats. So I guess that's the payment in exchange for using the software for free.
Yeah.
So there you go.
Right.
Who would not opt out?
Who would not opt
If
out?
you're running this in a
Which means
corporation,
that's a double negative, which means who would stay in?
exactly.
Look,
Who would-
man, I had to do it that way because when you have two negatives, you have to really think about
It's not two negatives,
who would not opt out. Opting out to me is a negative, saying,
but it's
I'm-
not.
Yeah.
No,
yes, it is.
no.
Okay,
Anyway.
we're gonna agree to disagree.
Yeah.
I can see this going nowhere.
It's who would not, comma, opt out. It is not a double negative.
Anyway. So no, I agree,
Not
because if you're running
not
this in a
grammatically.
corporation or inside it with anything, you don't want it
Well,
sending data out.
but if you're in
like,
a
among
but
right,
if-
right. That's what I'm
but-
saying.
Yeah.
Who would
Well,
not opt
But
out?
time out though. This is only for the free version. If you sign up for their corporate version, that's not part of the mix. This is
Right.
basically in exchange for it.
Right, but still, who would not opt out? Who would say,
People
yeah,
who
go
can't
ahead,
find-
you can have my anonymous stats that aren't really anonymous, and you know who I am.
People who can't find that little menu item, who don't read the fine print, who don't read paragraph
Maybe-
92 of
I
the EULA.
always, every time, because I sent away for 2 quotes on different things last night, and they're going to send me these quotes via email.
Hmm.
At the very bottom, there was a checkbox that's pre-checked for, oh, send me all the newest updates on your latest shit.
Right.
And you have to I always look for those boxes
Yes.
because everything's got 'em.
Yeah.
Kind of like when installing Firefox or something, the Ask toolbar or the
Yeah.
Ask.com toolbar or something. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I agree. All right, going on the 13th, we have Robo Linux 7.8.1 KDE edition.
Yay.
And Robo Linux, we've talked about them in the past.
Oh yeah,
Debian with KDE.
that's right. They make things easy for the former XP users.
That's right. All right, next we have Rebellion Linux 2.5. And they said with a set of distribution, with a choice of Mate or GNOME as their desktops.
Hmm.
No.
And it's also Debian 7, the Synergy edition.
Yeah. They have two. One is
Oh.
the more cutting edge. And I think that's
Right,
the adrenaline.
SID. Yeah, SID is the adrenaline.
The adrenaline, which kind of makes sense. They also inadvertently omitted Bluetooth support in the Synergy Mate version, so which they acknowledged, and I suspect we'll probably see an update very soon with
Right.
it.
Now they'll
And
probably fix it with a patch.
yeah, and also they did add for the Rebellion Synergy release, they added a support page inside of it for faster support, so you can, I guess, if you've got a question, you can get to it a little more quickly. So
All right. Next one we have on the 14th was Parsix 7. It's the official name is Parsix GNU/Linux 7.0 R1, and they're based on Debian 7 with GNOME as a desktop.
Gnome, all these gnome people.
This is code name Nestor.
Ooh,
You know where that came from?
no.
Their names are. Sounds like you know that.
Just go on, man.
Okay. Um, it those releases are named after characters from the movie Happy Feet. Remember the
Oh
little dancing
yeah.
penguins, those
Huh.
fuzzy penguins?
Right. And do you know why they do that?
Oh no,
Because what are Debian releases named after?
Toy Story.
Toy Story.
There you
yeah.
go.
Okay,
All right.
cool. I wonder what they do when they run out of characters.
Those movies have so many insignificant, like one thing characters that they'll never run out.
All right.
Especially Debian with Toy Story. How many Toy Story movies were there? 3?
Okay. Yeah, probably. And they're by the way, before we move on to Parsix's 64-bit edition supports UEFI boot and installation. The support though is still experimental, so but they want you to report any issues that you encounter when you're using that.
All right. And on the 16th, we have Netrunner 15, which they're the desktop based on Kubuntu 14.10.
You know, and that surprises me because Netrunner's the company that when Canonical kicked Kubuntu to the curb, they're the ones that picked it up, right? And they sponsor the Kubuntu distribution now also.
Mm-hmm.
So it's Netrunner and Kubuntu is from the same people,
Mm-hmm.
and Netrunner's based on Kubuntu. At some point, wouldn't you just roll Kubuntu upstream and Netrunner upstream into Kubuntu, or do away with Kubuntu and make it Netrunner? I mean,
I thought that's what they're going to do also.
I
but
did too.
apparently
I thought
not.
they were definitely going to do something like that. It
Well,
just hasn't happened.
I don't know. They're right now they Netrunner just changed their default login manager to SDDM, which is a simple desktop display manager, and
And stopped using KDM.
yeah, they did. So I don't know. I know Kubuntu uses LightDM, which I think is from the stock Ubuntu.
Yes.
So I don't know. Maybe one is. I don't know what they're going to do. That's a good question. Um,
Hmm.
yeah. So, and the other thing too that they did, Netrunner, is they split as far as the audio applications. They split radio. They've got a music librarian and then online searching of music into 3 dedicated applications. So you can access those as separate. I don't know if they were together before, but it just sounded a little odd. So that's why I'm going to quit talking about it right now.
Okay.
All right. All right. Next up we have is Black Lab Linux 6.1 Mate or Mate.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that last show they had Black Lab had a release.
Yeah, because they're one of those distros that breaks their different desktop editions up so that they have a mate release, they have a KDE release, and a GNOME release.
Yeah.
Ridiculous.
Exactly. That's why PCBSD they came out and they had 5 different things embedded in their desktops embedded in one
Right.
release.
That's the way it should be.
All right.
Hey, one thing though I will give that distro props for though, pre-installed are apps like Scribus and OpenShot, which well maybe OpenShot is a little bit expected, but Scribus that's not something
Yes,
you'd
it's not
normally would
very
expect. So okay,
Who would use that other than desktop publishers?
that would be about it. Dabblers, dabblers like moi.
All right. On the 17th, we have Frugal Linux 2.0 and general purpose desktop distribution for intermediate and advanced users.
That's right, as they say on their site, for those who are not afraid of text mode.
There you
All
go.
right.
The command line. Learn it, love it, live it.
Yeah, well,
Yep.
actually, and they list the system requirements for to install, and one of them is a fearless attitude toward text mode. And then they've got it available for 32-bit, 64-bit, and then for ARM. So
All right. Also on the 17th, we have Bodhi Linux 3.0.0. This is the next major release based on 1404. That's the Ubuntu LTS and they have a customized Enlightenment 19.3 as their desktop.
Yeah, they said that as far as upgrading, they said any users who are on a pre-release version can just simply upgrade, but if you're on a previous major release, you're going to need to reinstall. So I guess, but the fact that I think this was on hiatus for a while, wasn't it?
no, but that's because body bases them on the LTS versions. And
Mhm.
you can't just go from one LTS to the next LTS because there have been so many releases in between them.
Oh, good point. Yeah.
Mm,
Yep.
Yeah.
So
But they're going to support that previous version, which I think was 2.4 until April of 2017, which I think is a standard. Isn't that the standard?
sure.
3 years. Did you say 17?
Thanks for humoring me, Matt.
Did you say 2017?
That's correct.
Yeah,
2 years.
3. Or 2 years from now, but
Yeah.
3 years from the LTS.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. We got that. We got that figured out.
All right. On the 18th, we have Clonezilla Live 2.3.2-22. And that's their latest live CD for Clonezilla. It's based on Debian's Unstable branch. And it's really good for disk cloning and a lot of stuff. I used it a lot with when I would put together laptops to sell and stuff. I would install the system on one and then just clone it over using Clonezilla.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Yeah, I used it a lot too.
Yeah.
And with this release, they have a new feature.
Oh yeah. Yeah, that's right. It's they can
Tell it,
clone-
Tony. Tell it.
You can now clone the Chrome and Chromium OS drives.
Yep.
Yeah.
I don't know
So-
why you would want to do that, but you can.
But you can.
Right.
For some people,
Because any Chromebook you can reset it right back to factory stand, right back to like you just took it out of the box.
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
Hmm.
And so, but it would be nice for Chromium because is it Chromium the OS you can run it on other hardware, right?
well, people have also booted Chrome OS too. Their own
Oh, yeah.
hardware too.
That's actually what I'm thinking about setting up for my kids.
Yeah,
is
because I'm in the
Chrome OS.
Chrome channel on Google Plus.
Hmm.
Oh yeah.
Is that a busy one?
Yes.
Okay.
All right.
The only other thing too, they did remove a couple of packages, refit and GPT Sync, just because they're no longer in Debian, and so they follow Debian, and they pulled them too. So.
Right.
All right.
Next up, we have is Proxmox 3.4 virtual environment. And what is it?
The email gateway, or what?
Oh, this is the virtual environment. This
Oh,
is
I'm
the
sorry.
email
Right.
gateway.
This
Yeah.
is not their email gateway.
Yeah, so it's Proxmox. It says the new release features the out-of-the-box ZFS storage support along with hot plug and NUMA, which is the ununiform memory access support.
Nice.
Non-uniform.
Open ZF. Oh, the most important piece of that is the Open ZFS.
Yeah. Do they warn you about RAM usage?
I don't see anything in the release.
I don't know. Maybe it's a footnote.
Right.
Because you got to understand, ZFS is great. I love ZFS. But if you're going to use ZFS, you got to have a lot of RAM. A lot of RAM.
How much? How much?
A lot.
Although, Matt, ZFS is really built for like really large file
Yeah,
systems, right?
dozens of terabytes.
Yeah.
So if you have 30 terabytes of data, wouldn't you? I would assume that you would have a server running with more than 8 gigs of RAM. A
32,
typical server
16.
has 16 and 32 gigs of RAM.
Well, our entry level dedicated server starts, I think, with 4.
And do you run ZFS on it?
No.
No. Exactly. What's the size of
I'm
hard drive
running
on that?
ZFS on
20
this.
gig?
That's
I
got
think,
4.
A
100 gig?
single 500 gig drive.
Yeah. Okay. That's one exact.
All right.
All right. No, but ZFS is even if you're not running a large
It's
file system, it's
fantastic.
really cool.
Did I tell you I love my PCBSD laptop? I'm loving it.
Yeah. You're running ZFS on that, man?
Yes.
Yeah, that's what
I
it
am.
installs by
How much
default.
RAM do you have in it?
4.
4 gigs RAM.
Well,
So
keep
that's
in
why it
mind I'm
runs so
not.
slow.
That's why it takes so long to boot. No, keep in mind I'm not taxing it that much either.
Right.
So there's not a lot of I/O. Any way you look at it.
Oh, I had a server go down last week because of IO. Actually,
Oh, really?
turns out it had a bad hard drive.
Ooh. Oh, now see, with
Was it one of
the
those 3 terabyte drives?
could you do a hot swap? Was it like
No.
RAID? And you could do a hot swap or something, or
It wasn't RAID,
okay.
but it was behind a SAS card instead of a
Mm.
PERT card.
Oh.
So we couldn't tell exactly what drive it was. So I gave the DC guys, the hardware guys, I told them which serial number it was. So what he should have done and didn't do was he said, "Oh, I think it's this drive. I'm just going to swap it." And he swapped it out and swapped the wrong drive.
Oh, jeez.
So then they had to wait for the rebuild to finish from the failing hard drive to the new hard
Oh
drive
my
Yeah.
gosh!
before they could actually swap the bad hard drive out.
Oh.
It was kind of funny
Did you
for
just
me.
Isn't there like a option in the management of that card to go in and
There is
say,
no management of that card really. Those SAS cards are real basic.
oh, really?
are they
So
okay?
All right.
if he'd listened to me and read the serial number, taken the drive out and read the serial number, and said, "Oh, that's the wrong drive," and put the same drive back in right away, would have taken almost no time to rebuild. How much data could they have missed in the short time he had it out?
Oh, not
Right.
much at all.
Exactly. So
Why did they do it that way then?
because he was confident that he could tell which drive it was.
Oh, the one that was rattling.
I don't know.
Oh my God! See, it's the
The
ask
things that
ask-
happen in the DC behind your eyes. that you
behind
don't ever
closed doors
see.
at the data center. Tales from the data center.
Right.
Oh my gosh! Oh, that would have been a good one. Well, we're getting it out a little bit later into the show, but all right, that was good, man. All right, Tony, I think we're ready to move on.
All right.
This is gonna be
on-
the longest distro section ever.
I know.
I am only going to do half a review so I can get out of here. All right.
All right, on the 20th, we have Linhess 8.3, which is a specialty distro based on Arch for set-top boxes and home entertainment computers.
Have you ever tried it?
No, but it says this one's running Kodi, which is the old XBMC.
Mhm.
So I've used that, and that's pretty nice.
Oh, okay.
I saw something about Plex in here.
Mhm.
Now includes the option for Plex Home Theater, and Kodi has been updated. So no, it looks pretty cool. I just haven't used this specifically.
Okay.
All right, next up we have also on the 20th is a Ubuntu update for 1404.2. So an update to their LTS. And the last one on the list, also on the 20th, is ClearOS 6.6.0 Community Edition.
Mm-hmm.
And ClearOS is based on CentOS, but it's for the cloud connected servers and gateways.
Yeah, they got they got a commercial version.
Oh, do they?
Mhm.
So the Community Edition
Community
is
edition is-
designed for homes, hobbyists,
Yeah.
and small organizations.
Mhm.
All right.
You want the real stuff, you got to get the commercial one. And it'll cost you a little bit, I think.
I'm sure.
Okay.
All right. So now we're going on to the top 5 from the last 7 days. All right. Number 5, we have OpenSUSE with 1393.
And trending up.
Number 4 is Bodhi with 1481.
And trending up.
Number 3 is Debian with 1720.
And trending down.
Number 2 is Ubuntu with 2047.
And trending up.
And then the number 1 spot is Mint
Gotta love that minty goodness.
with 3175.
And trending up.
Well, it's really making hay there.
Yes, it is.
Yeah,
And
because it's awesome.
FreeBSD is at.
Oh, thanks, Matt.
You're welcome, Mary.
Already getting my segment out here. Yeah, where is it?
26
Yep, and it's trending down.
up.
Oh, good. I guessed, and of course, as luck would have it, I guessed wrong.
And PCBSD
Uh-huh.
is
37
37.
and trending down
Yes.
by mistake. All right. So there we go. And now it's time
Now it's time
For-
for
What distro are you reviewing this week, Mary?
actually this week it's not a distro. This week, and actually this episode, it's our half book review. That's what we name it. We do review the whole book.
Most of the time.
Yeah, yeah. I think you should. Why don't you give me that book and I'll take care of the rest of it for you.
All right.
All right. Well, this episode's half book review is Networking for System Administrators by Michael W. Lucas. And
Excellent.
I know when Michael W. Lucas approached me about reviewing his latest book, I jumped at the chance. Whether you're a professional system administrator or someone who just dabbles, a dilettante like me, or simply connects one or more computers or router to the internets, you've interacted with a network. Although naturally this book focuses on the men and women who maintain systems and servers for a living, anyone who's curious about their home network or just has a natural curiosity will find this book useful. Note that Mr. Lucas covers networking in Windows, Unix, as well as Linux. So I mean, this book he's got a broad audience here. He's aimed at a broad audience, and I think that really increases its effectiveness because some people might have Linux one at home, but maybe at work they're sysadmin or
In
Windows
the
environment.
world, yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, in the first chapter of the book, which is appropriately named Chapter 0, The Problem, Mr. Lucas lays out the situation. Essentially, it's this. Due to the specialization and complexity of the enterprise, it's difficult to know everything about everything. This specialization can lead to a blame game when something goes wrong. And it's not always the network guy's fault when your server
Yes,
isn't.
it is.
It's going to be that kind of review, eh, Matt? When your server isn't properly communicating. Lucas asserts that by learning some basic networking principles and applying them as needed, a system administrator's troubleshooting effectiveness will increase. It's a far better strategy than simply throwing up your hands and claiming the problem is with the network like Matt does. No, I'm just kidding.
It's always a networking guy.
I added that a little bit.
It's always a networking guy.
That may be the case, but after reading Lucas's book, you won't be embarrassing yourself when it's not. And according to Lucas, that network administrator might actually like you. Hey, Matt, does yours like you?
I think we have a fairly equal love-hate relationship.
Okay. All right. The book is divided into two sections. The first 6 chapters discuss networking technology that system administrators should know. And the second half of the book, chapters 7 through 12, invite system admins to roll up their sleeves so they can actively check the systems they maintain and evaluate the results of that check before they contact the network administrator. All right, let me see here. I'm scrolling up here. I just lost my place. Isn't that terrible? Okay, here we go. No book on networking would be complete without a discussion of the network stack. You know that stack?
Yes.
Every time
Usually
I
comes
have,
with cheese on it.
yeah, every time I'm at like a picnic and there's a 7-layer salad, I always think of networking.
The OSI model, that is hilarious. I never thought of that. That's great.
Yeah, my sister makes
Now-
7-layer
Now
salad.
we have to. Oh yeah. Next show, I will have each layer of the 7-layer salad coordinated with an OSI layer.
Oh, there you go, Matt. That'll be good. All right.
Oh.
But Michael W. Lucas he makes a little. Well, he doesn't make any adjustment actually because the TCP model kind of takes the last 3 and bundles them up into the application layer.
Correct.
So anyway, and he talks about that. But he the OSI model. I mean, it's more academic than anything else, but it's still important to understand it.
Because, I mean, one of the layers is hardware. Come on.
Yeah. Yeah. He mentions that too. Yep. So anyway, so while we've already talked about the fact that TCP rolls that, so yeah, but it rolls it into that single application layer, including HTTP, SMTP, LDAP, and some of the services a system administrator manages. As an overview, the chapter conveniently includes a table listing some of the troubleshooting tools for each layer of the stack. Now, further into the book, he's going to take those tools and really jump into them and show you various options depending on what you want to filter, what you want to check. So I found that to be very useful. And I also discovered that if you don't pay attention when you're looking at a tool name and you think you're using the BSD version and you try the Linux version, you're going to get results that you might not expect.
Yes. Did you see my post about tar?
Yes, I saw that. You know what I almost did? I almost posted a download link to FreeBSD. But anyway, so let's see, in a section called layering in practice, Lucas takes a simple web page request and shows how each layer participates. I found that to be now some sysadmins are going to know that already, but I think for somebody who may not be as familiar with it, they're going to appreciate how he steps that packet through all the layers and what they do, whether they're helping it push it along or whatever it happens to be. I'm not going to go into detail
I
because
just have one question.
yeah.
Is
How
there-
long is my review?
No,
We're still on chapter. We're still on chapter 1.
0, I thought.
No, 1 is the network layers.
Oh, okay. So, is there going to be a section of this book that will help me with SYN flood attacks? I had another one the other day. They're a pain in my
I'm sure there will be.
ass.
That's my answer. Where I'm not really sure, but he does. No, because I think. Well, I'm not. There may be because he talks about.
I had to get the networking guy involved, and then he
Uh-huh.
just null routed that IP at the firewall
Okay.
above the server. So,
Well, maybe he should just show you how to do it, and you just automatically do it.
well, no,
They're not going to let him do that.
They're not going to give me access to that piece of equipment.
Oh. All right.
And then
Well.
I'll take all of Australia offline.
Oh wait,
Crikey.
It should have been 12 instead of 13.
And now I can't even get into the box anymore.
Oh my God. Okay. Well, anyway, chapter 2 focuses on Ethernet, the ubiquitous local area network protocol. As expected, Lucas covers. Notice how quickly we got serious there. As expected, Lucas covers various aspects of the protocol, including things like speed, duplex fragments, MTU, ARP, to name a few. I found his brief description of including MTU. His brief description of, I guess, adjusting it. He provides some useful advice regarding setting the MTU if you need to. One size doesn't fit all necessarily. Yeah. It should be really set on a network basis. So ping, one of my favorite commands, makes an appearance in this chapter. Lucas shows how a non-response from the pingee, that's my term, doesn't mean the host isn't on the network. It just means you didn't get an answer. And that's a perfect segue to ARP, the Address Resolution Protocol, and its IPv6 counterpart. You know what it's called?
The IPv6 version?
Yeah.
No.
It's
6.
ping. ARP.
Why?
No, it's called neighbor discovery.
Oh, yeah.
Will you be my neighbor?
oh,
Oh,
I
Mr.
knew-
Roberts, will you
I-
be my neighbor?
Yeah. Will you be my neighbor? But but anyway, I did know that. I didn't correlate the two. But
Okay.
I knew that
We knew you knew it, Matt.
it was called neighbor discovery, and in IPv4 it's an ARP table.
That's what we do when we discover our neighbors. All right. Well, this is a serious review, darn it.
Okay.
All right. And that's just chapter 2. All right. Our old friend IPv4 receives good coverage in chapter 3, and it should, because that's the title of the chapter. Lucas spent some time in the first portion of this chapter discussing the basics of IPv4 networking, about which I won't go into detail, but involves a lot of ones and zeros. The focus shifts to activity on the local machine with localhost and loopback. Apparently, talking to oneself here is a good thing. Oh my goodness. I was in a good mood when I was writing this thing, I tell
Okay.
you. That's because I got it done early. And when when you plan ahead and get your work done ahead of time, oh my God, it's like the world is just
I don't know.
the world was my oyster.
I never get done more than 5 minutes before it's due.
All right. From there, Lucas moves to private addresses and NAT. Of course, that's network address translation. And he said, of course, private addresses and NAT have extended and expanded the lifespan of the IPv4 address pool. Lucas effectively explains NAT and how it works. I'm not going to go into detail. I think everybody understands. You got one public IP address and a whole bunch of private ones.
Right. And then there's, if you ever looked at the IPv4, all of IPv4,
Mhm.
there are several blocks of IPv4 addresses that are blocked off for private networks.
Mhm.
But then there are also 3 blocks, 3/24s, that are blocked off for documentation. So if you use all 3 of those blocks, it only gives you like 700 and some odd addresses. Well, in one of the things I'm doing, I need like 2,500 addresses.
Yeah.
And I think I'm going to have to steal some out of the 16, I think it is private address space. And use those
Okay.
also.
Yeah, the 172. There's a 17 or there's a 10.10,
Yes, I know.
172.16.
But everybody knows that's a private network.
Right, and 172.16.
Right.
That's a
Nobody
slash
knows that's a
16.
private network, really. Because at work,
It's documented
no.
as
I
that.
know it's documented, but at work, we use that for our backnet. So all of our backups for all the servers and everything run over
Oh,
the 172 network, right?
Mm-hmm. Oh, I'm
So-
just saying. Okay.
So all the machines have a 172 address on it. So our provisioning people, who aren't necessarily the most technical, like when someone just wants to get one of our shared servers buy an account on one of our shared servers, they set the whole thing up, and they have notoriously been assigning the 172 addresses lately.
as the public IP? No. Oh, jeez.
It's not been working out so well.
Wow.
Wow, two tales from the data center in one episode. Hey, and speaking of address assignment, back in the early days of the interwebs, apparently huge blocks like 17 was all given to Ford, and like
Yes.
13 was given to Xerox. I might have
Yeah,
those
yeah,
wrong,
yeah.
but I mean, but that's like 13
Huge,
dot
huge
whatever,
blocks.
huge blocks. And
They've
so
asked for them back, some of them back.
have they? I wonder if they've gotten them.
I don't know.
I don't know. So anyway, but
Because they do keep track of that too.
mhm,
Because we get our IP addresses directly from ICANN,
mhm.
or
Mhm.
not ICANN. It's whoever the North American,
Yes, we can.
whoever the North American people are. I
I don't
forget.
know, an ARPA or
Yeah,
an-
somebody.
yeah.
But we get them right
Mhm.
from them, and they audit your IPs.
Oh,
And if you don't have a certain percentage of your IPs that you already have in use, they won't give you more.
okay.
They just won't.
That makes sense. That makes sense.
So
You
But
shouldn't be using it anyways anymore. You should be moving IPv6.
IPv4 forever.
well, it's easier to remember those
It's
addresses.
way
Oh my
easier.
God. But anyway, we're going to move
Yeah,
on.
I agree.
We hear the word firewall, and Lucas aptly notes that it can mean several things, from a software package on a desktop to a combination of packet filters, PF, Tony,
Yeah.
proxy servers, and NAT, or in the case NAT in the case of global organizations. I don't think I made a lot of sense there. I'm happy to say. Lucas cautions, so I'll have to go back and fix that. But Lucas cautions that proxies, NAT devices, and firewalls are not internet security systems. He says they're components of the organization's security policy.
Yes.
And he notes that NAT in particular is
Yeah,
not
I
a
was-
security mechanism.
Especially
Exactly.
NAT. You
Yep.
would not believe
He
how
said it was
many,
broken years ago.
how many idiots think that NAT makes them secure.
Yeah.
Yeah, NAT is not a firewall.
No.
Yeah.
And it's not security.
So a majority of your routers out there, like the older routers especially, only have NAT, and
Right.
they don't have a security
They don't
firewall.
have any
Mhm.
firewall in them at all.
Yeah. So, but he throughout the book, I mean, he talks about things like that, just to say, you may think this is the case, but it's not. But then he also goes on to say too. He concludes the chapter by touching on the two main tools for troubleshooting IP connectivity. We just talked about ping, of course, which is for testing the local network connectivity, and then traceroute, which is testing connectivity to networks outside of our local
Correct.
domain. Yeah.
And does he touch on MTR at all?
I think he does later in the book. I'll have to go down there. There's so many tools.
We use MTR at work all
I think
the
he
time.
does touch on that.
And,
Yeah.
and we even tell clients when they say they're having connection
Mm-hmm.
problems, we tell them, go to this page and it's going to instruct you on how to get an MTR
Mhm.
and send us the results.
Yeah, I
of the
think he does
MTR.
touch, because it's like something trace route.
Matt's trace route.
Yeah, Matt Enders.
No.
I was gonna say, well, maybe he doesn't talk about. No, he does talk about that. I think, because I remember that. Let's see here. Anyway, unless I dreamt it.
It's a combination of ping and trace route.
Okay, very good. But more on that later in the book. So oh my God, we're just on chapter 4. I'm going to kind of move this along, but anyway, so
Maybe it'll be broken up into 2 reviews.
so we'll only do a half book review. I know, because I gotta get going here. But chapter 4, of course, is IPv6. I found it to be very informative, primarily because Lucas does a very good job in describing the essentials, then transitions to the details. Of course, we were bound to run out of IPv4 addresses eventually, and Lucas mentions that Aaron projects, they'll no longer be able to issue IPv4 addresses by April 23rd, 2015. like,
Well, in
that's a-
some parts of like Asia's been out of IPv4 addresses for a very long time. IPv6 has been used in Asia for a long time.
yes, and he talked about that.
Does he?
Yes, he talks about that because,
Okay.
you know, in the old, not old
Right,
world,
right,
but
right.
we just
When they divided
big
up
blocks.
the IP blocks, they gave Asia had no, they were not technologically advanced at the time,
Yep.
so they gave them a very small block, and now
So they
Asia's
had to go to-
screaming with technology.
Yeah, and they had to go to IPv6 a while
Yes,
back.
yes.
So, yeah, he talks about that very thing. Let's see here. So, anyway, yeah. So both protocols have a lot in common. And Lucas says you can almost replace an IPv4 address with an IPv6 address and watch everything work. He also notes an interesting difference between the two for many operating systems. For a while, the last part of the host's IPv6 address could be computed from the network and the card's MAC address. An obvious privacy issue. It's been gradually replaced with non-reversible ways to generate IPv6 addresses. Let's see. He also talks about NAT in there, and we spent a little time talking about it. So I'm not gonna. Oh, by the way, NAT, which was invented as a workaround for the limited number of IPv4 addresses, isn't a part of the protocol, but companies have been clamoring for it, and it's not needed. But it's so entrenched that they just think they need
Right.
it.
They think
Yeah.
they need it for security because they think that they need to
Yes.
obfuscate their IP addresses, and you don't if you have your proper security set up.
Yeah, and then he talks. He kind of takes the various operating system, talks about how incoming and outgoing and how they're handled. Let's see, chapter 5, TCP/IP. Lucas makes a distinction between both of those protocols and notes that the acronym really refers to the whole family of protocols related to TCP and IP. It reads like a who's who of acronyms: UDP, ICMP, and the less common SCTP and ESP. Oh, now I understand the protocol for mind-to-mind communication. Okay, I think that's my last joke in this whole review.
All right.
Mr. Lucas spends time discussing each and noting the differences. His analogy of the difference between UDP and TCP is effective, comparing them to cars on a crowded highway versus an automated factory assembly line, respectively. And essentially, when you're on the freeway with a bunch of cars, you're all independent, and if the car behind you goes off into the ditch, well, I mean, as a human being, you might care, but you're independent from that. You're just moving along to your destination.
Yeah.
But if you're on a factory assembly line and a component falls off, it's got to be replaced.
Yeah.
So I thought that was a very effective way of describing the differences. I mean, I kind of
That
knew
is
the
interesting.
differences,
Yeah.
but again, he's very good at analogies, or at least taking a complex topic and making it understandable for people like me. Let's see here, and and by the way, too, the initial reaction to these descriptions is what good is UDP when it's connectionless and doesn't have its own error correction? Well, it turns out, according to Lucas, very good when you're using VoIP. The example he uses, and again, another example, this is perfect. He says, if a phone drops a couple of packets, you don't want the application to say, oh, we lost a quarter second of audio. I better go ask the sender to retransmit those. No, a little slice of sound is gone. The caller doesn't need a 2-second old drop piece of sound to be suddenly dumped into a blank spot in the conversation.
Right.
That was a perfect explanation of why UDP, why in some cases UDP is the perfect protocol to use.
Yes.
I
Yeah.
thought that was
Because
perfect.
sometimes you don't give a shit if it gets there.
You
or not.
don't. I mean, if you're talking and suddenly some little piece
Right,
comes back in,
exactly.
So,
Mhm.
but that explains why
UDP is great. Here's a stream. If you catch it, great. If not, I don't
that's
care.
okay. Yeah.
Right.
Yep. Anyway, he touches on the other protocols and points the user to the protocol file, which you can view in you can view the list. And the remainder of the chapter is spent discussing further TCP/IP. He walks the reader through an overview of setting up the connection, the three-way handshake. And I didn't realize you start off with a three-way handshake, but you end with a four-way handshake.
Yes.
I didn't know that.
That's what a SYN flood is. A SYN flood is
That
when
fourth piece, just keep
no,
not
the
letting
first
go of your
one.
hand when
No,
it's
it's
shaking.
the first one.
Okay.
They just send a continuous stream of SYN
Sin.
packets
Sin.
with
A stream of sin.
with spoofed IP addresses.
Okay.
So you get the SYN packet and it says it's from blah blah blah. So you send an ACK back, and that server gets the ACK and goes,
I didn't send you.
I never sent you a SYN. What the heck are you doing?
Okay.
So So, and it sits there for up to 3 minutes waiting to get a response back from that ACK it sent. And your
Oh.
contract table just fills up and overflows, and no more network connections can be made to that box.
Yeah, I'll tell you. All right. Anyway, and then in that chapter, no chapter would be complete about TCP/IP without a look at ports and, of course, sockets. Lucas calls sockets a virtual construction for plugging communication into, and goes on to discuss them and how they're used. And let's see. So there's other protocols covered in that chapter 6. We're moving on. Viewing network connections. Now he discusses the readout from netstat command for both Windows and Unix-like system. He also takes the time to show how various various options can effectively filter for the information you're seeking.
Yes.
And he goes into, he really
Is
shows you.
Is there a long section? Is there a big
That's
section on netstat?
Yeah.
Oh, beautiful. I love netstat. I use it. Several of my scripts for work, I use it in, and I use.
Yeah.
I'll just on the fly use it.
He shows. Yeah. He takes a number of different options and shows you the readout, explains what you're looking at.
Because I just always have it send me everything. I do -ULANTP. I just show it all to me, and then from there I filter it out with the rest of the script.
You can customize it, and it was interesting. And this is where I was plugging in. Because he's showing Linux, Unix, and BSD and Windows output, he helpfully organizes the information in this chapter or in this portion into separate sections.
Does he note that in Linux, netstat is deprecated?
He notes that something was deprecated.
It's replaced by SS and has been for a while.
I don't know if he goes into that detail or not. I'm not sure, but there was another one that was deprecated that he talks about. He said that what Windows or what Microsoft has done for their version of it is they have continued to update it, but in the Unix world, it's been deprecated and they're using something else. So anyway, but when I tried netstat-na space 4, netstat space -na space 4, it appeared. It produced a very different output on this laptop because it appeared to provide a real-time look at what was passing over my laptop's network connection. It was very odd. It was like it was showing the packet size and all this stuff that was just, I had no idea, but that was the Linux command, so, who knows. I did put a screenshot of it in the notes. Let's see, we're moving on to chapter 7. Okay, this is where we go into the troubleshooting. Network testing basics. Again, there are do's and don'ts for troubleshooting. Network testing etiquette, as Lucas calls it. After all, you don't want to create an abnormal situation on your network, right, Matt?
It's always the networking guy's fault.
Lucas says that it's okay to send normal traffic between your systems for testing, but abnormal traffic is another story. The two tools that can create this kind of traffic, Matt, do you know what they would be?
Wireshark is one of them.
Load balancers and port scanners.
Yeah, Wireshark is a port scanner.
Is it?
Yes.
Okay. I did. I run it, but I'd only just look and see what.
Nmap is also.
Yeah, he talks about that too. So, but anyway, so yeah, he said you probably can create a small amount of abnormal traffic, but if you use the tools to create a large amount, be prepared for a visit. And then he also says potential network issues for system administrators boil down to two key questions: what do my hosts send, and what do my hosts receive? So that's what it really boils down to. And let's see here. He also discusses how to report problems because there's a good way and a bad way to report. And it's typically better not to jump to a conclusion about what the cause is. People can take these things seriously or personally. And
I
seriously.
Just start screaming, the UK's down, the UK's down. That's the way I do it.
It's effective in its own way. He said the best thing to do is to let the network team know what you're trying to accomplish. Just the facts, sir.
I'm trying to talk to the UK.
Yeah, there. See, there. That's good. And then that chapter concludes with some of the items that can block or disrupt traffic and how they might do it. Now, in chapter 8, he moves into the DNS, domain name system, which I found to be a very interesting chapter. He assures sysadmins they don't have to know the innards of DNS, just the basic idea behind it, and how to query the system for information. For example, DNS runs on TCP and UDP using port 53 on both. It's common myth that DNS only uses UDP.
I did think it only used UDP.
Yeah, he says that hasn't been true since the 1990s.
Oops.
and then he covers the concept of domains and zones, child zones, parent zones, and depending on your perspective, you might be a child zone from this angle, but then from the other angle, you're a parent zone. You know, when you're talking about root zones and all that kind of thing. And then he uses his own site as an example to really kind of drive home the point. He talks about the zone file. And the zone files, you know, they're on the authoritative DNS servers. The two varieties, of course, authoritative and recursive. So he goes in and talks about the differences, and also about forward and reverse DNS. As you might expect, one maps host names to IP addresses, and the other does the reverse.
Yeah.
Guess
what
which
need,
is which?
You need our DNS to be working for what?
Reverse DNS.
Mail.
Oh, mail. Okay. Oh, yeah, that makes sense. So anyway, but you know, he goes up, talks about the A record, and then he talked. You know what the IPv6 record is? It's the AA
record.
No, it's the
A record. Yeah.
AA. No, 4 AAAA record. I'm thinking, but I didn't want to make sure it was.
You know why?
There were a bunch of.
Want to be
A's in
first
front
on the
of it.
list?
You know what I think why they did that?
Why?
It's because the IPv6 address is 4 times longer than IPv4.
Oh, that
So
that
That
sounds.
actually makes sense.
That
Tony.
does make sense. Yeah, and I have her. I wonder why 4 A's were used, but that
that's
makes
pure
sense.
speculation, right, Tony?
It is.
Okay.
Yeah, that's just speculation.
But that's intelligent speculation, Matt.
It's a networking guy's fault.
All right, but
That's right.
all right. Anyway, but he talks about the host. You know, in the Unix world, using the host command. The host.
Yes.
Okay. All right.
I'm familiar with it.
All right. Very good. And in Windows it's NS lookup, but NS lookup is what's deprecated, I think, in Linux.
I don't know. I use NS lookup in Linux all the time too.
Okay. Well, I think you can. It's just he said it's deprecated, but Microsoft's updated their version. And then he also provides several sample searches as well as a few suggestions if you need a more sophisticated tool. So read the book.
You can get the same. You can get basically do an NS lookup with Dig too.
Mm-hmm.
Just
I think he mentions, yeah, because I didn't have time to
I
really.
forget the flag.
I didn't have
right
time
now
to rewrite his
offhand.
book in my review.
Yeah, I forget what flag it is offhand, but
Yeah.
if you dig a certain flag, it returns the name of servers.
Yeah, I mean, tell you, it's just really helpful book. Let's see here, and then he wraps up that chapter. I talked about the host file and map. You can set up your manual maps in the host file.
Or is it who is? I don't remember.
Well, he wrote the book. All right. Tools to determine what is coming and going on your server are covered in Chapter 9, Packet Sniffing. Chapter titled with the word sniffing in it. Did I ever tell you that one of my entertainment characters when I was younger was Sniffy, the tacky party clown?
No.
I did.
And so that's where your fear of clowns comes from.
Yes. Oh my God! I tell you, I dressed up at a Christmas party at work. Oh, it's a wonder I didn't get fired. We'll leave it at that. But anyway, so he talks about the tools: TCP dump, WinPcap, WinDump, Wireshark. Most are console tools, but Wireshark, of course, has got the interface. So he kind of goes on, talks about all of those. He also emphasizes, for security reasons, Wireshark should never go on a production server.
I was just gonna say that Wireshark is so insecure. Wireshark makes the machine it's installed on, and when it's running,
that's why I took it off my machine.
So insecure that it's not even available in the open BSD repositories.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah, I had put it on and I took it off. But he said what he suggests you doing is just spin up a throwaway virtual machine, run it from there, and then get rid of it later.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, you're not going to run it all the time. You're just going to run it when you need to.
Makes sense.
If you got a bad network, you might be running it all the time. But anyway, so and then most of the chapter spent discussing command options available, including filtering for specific protocols, as well as considerable detail on interpreting the results. Chapter 10, we go from analyzing traffic to creating traffic. Reproducing the problem is a valuable troubleshooting technique. And in this chapter, Lucas introduces Netcat, a tool which lets you generate arbitrary TCP/IP traffic. Boy, that'd be a good April Fool's joke for the networking guys, wouldn't it? For example, if you want to know if a client can connect to TCP port 25 and 587 on your mail server, well, stop using your email program to generate traffic. Fire up Netcat on your client, point it at those ports on the server, and see if the packets arrive. That's what he
I
said.
use Telnet.
All right, which is I'm going to move on. He notes that Netcat's been around for 20 years. The original versions lacked the IPv6 support, but now it's been forked, rewritten, and improved by many people. So it's been also ported to Windows. And there are also other Windows tools for generating traffic. He goes into considerable detail. Again, I'm not going to go into that detail, but it's in the book. Get the book. Server packet filtering is covered in Chapter 11. He helpfully provides scenarios where packet filtering can help isolate a problem, bless you, Matt, or prevent an intrusion. He says that your server probably runs all kinds of services used only by the local host, and it probably offers all of them on its network interface. So why should other hosts be able to access them? Block that stuff. He really talks about, tightening them down. So block everything except what you really need. And then Chapter 12, tracing problems. This is the last chapter. I'm reaching the conclusion of my review. In this chapter, he introduces traceroute, and describes how to use it and what it can tell you and what some of the common errors mean. He explains that it's that more is better as far as trace is concerned when trying to identify a network problem. This is where MTR comes in. And this is it's called my traceroute.
Yeah.
Would you say Matt's?
It was
Okay.
originally named My, and they've changed the name to Matt because that's the guy who wrote it.
Okay. Is a utility that runs traceroute continuously and prints statistics. He also recommends a presentation by Richard Steenbergen from Nanog 47. It's called A Practical Guide to Correctly Troubleshooting with Traceroute. Apparently, it was so good that Michael Lucas removed traceroute mastery from his to-do list. That's what he said. In conclusion, there is a lot of useful information packed into this book, whether you're an experienced system administrator or some dabbler like myself. I highly recommend that you get this book. So there you have it.
Yeah, I think I really want to get it.
Yeah.
There's a lot
I'm
of
going to
good
buy
stuff.
the print version. I mean, I like the print
Yes,
version.
I'm getting
Yeah.
the print version myself.
So there you have it, everybody.
Excellent review, Mary.
Yep. Networking for System Administrators by Michael W. Lucas. Buy it.
Is it available now?
The
Or is it
print version
still-
Should be.
is just now getting
Yeah.
available, and
Yep.
I am going to order mine today.
I'm going to too.
All right.
So
Does he have it on? Is it just on his website, or is it on
Amazon,
From
I
his
think.
website, you can only buy the
ebook.
ebook,
mhm.
which is non-DRM. Michael Lucas, all ebooks, non-DRM. If you buy from his site, great.
Mhm.
But I prefer the print version, and I got to go get that from Amazon.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that's where I got the free BSD storage, the free BSD mastery, storage mastery. No,
Yeah, so-
that title. that
Yes,
other book.
I know the one you're
All
talking
right.
about.
Mary, are those links in there?
They are
Um,
not. I
They-
checked earlier. I'm like, oh, great. Does she have a link? And no,
yes, there. Well, is the page published yet?
no.
Okay. When that page is published, that link will be there.
All right.
All right.
To both Michael's website and Amazon?
Yes,
All right.
that's
Excellent.
right. And yours, if you want one. Bash Junkie.
Yeah, I'm going to put it as like my blog. We have those places where we can say things.
Okay. All right. Now we're moving on.
All right. We're moving on to
It's time for the tech news of the week.
the news.
The news.
The
The
news.
news. So Matt, do you have anything?
I do. I have two stories, both of them pretty much the same topic.
So it's one.
They're both
Okay.
about Lenovo and
Oh.
Superfish.
Oh yeah, I was
So-
reading that.
The first one is from InfoWorld. Hey, and the second one's also from InfoWorld. And there are links in the show notes for these already because I plan ahead. But the first one is about the initial one. Lenovo pre-installs man-in-the-middle adware that hijacks HTTPS traffic on new PCs. And it goes on to talk about that. It says major technology companies just can't help tampering with our web traffic to deliver advertising. Security researchers recently discovered that consumer-grade Lenovo computers ship with software called Superfish Visual Discovery that injects advertising into websites on browsers like Google Chrome and Internet Explorer. Even worse, Superfish installs a self-generated root cert. If you don't know what a root cert is, You don't realize
You
how
ain't-
bad that
you
is.
ain't- you know what?
Right. Well, basically, what a root cert is it's telling the browser to just accept anything it
Yes,
gives.
anything signed by this cert is 100% okay.
Right. So it can give off a Facebook cert, and it'll say the browser like, oh, okay, that's Facebook.
Yeah.
Or it'll give off anything,
Anything.
and
You can impersonate anything.
I would never buy a Lenovo.
The screenshot
laptop.
in this article showed the guy going to his banking website that the cert was, which was Bank of America, and then it showed the cert that it was using, and it was a Superfish cert. Superfish had hijacked his connection to his bank.
That is
yeah, that's really bad
that is horrible.
Yes.
Why? I mean,
because you can't intercept and
Right, they
put
can't-
advertising inside an HTTPS web page,
Right.
unless you
No.
The only ad,
hijack that whole page.
right, the only advertising that would be on an HTTPS page is advertising that page has on it.
Yeah, that server sent.
Right.
you would think that Lenovo would conduct the appropriate due diligence
You
for anything that is going to be put on their product, because if
would
something
think.
goes wrong,
You would
it
think.
is it's kind of like car part or auto suppliers. When there's a recall, they're not saying what's the Delphi such and such. It's the GM. Well,
Exactly.
not to
Which-
pick on
yeah.
GM, but
Which leads me to my second article.
okay. What a segue.
Lenovo, we were as surprised as you.
Yeah.
Which is
Which maybe-
ridiculous
which-
because if Lenovo really was surprised as to everybody else,
That's shameful.
it's worse than shameful. It is irresponsible to the point of criminality.
Yeah.
Okay, and I cannot believe that a company as large as Lenovo is irresponsible to the point of criminality.
Yeah.
They knew it was there. They knew what it did, and Superfish gave them enough bucks that they did it anyway.
Well, keep in mind too,
Mhm.
Lenovo. I mean, those are
Whenever
made in
there's-
China.
Whenever
And that's how China does stuff.
Whenever there's a monetary, monetary driven incentive,
Hmm.
people are going to do stuff for that monetary incentive, and
It's capitalism, man.
exactly. And I'm all for capitalism. Capitalism is great, but when you do things like this and sell me out without telling me you're selling me out,
It's full disclosure. I mean,
Like-
if
Yeah.
now, granted, for none of us would this have been an issue, because what's the first thing if you bought a new laptop you do? I never ever even boot it into the operating system. I immediately wipe it and install something else on it.
That's right.
You know, who this is a problem for is
hey,
mom and
speaking
dad.
of that, it is. Yeah, the
Mhm.
folks who just buy a computer
Yep.
because they just want to check their email. I got I got that new computer I ordered. It was custom built, and wow, that thing is
Yeah.
Smoking
fast.
fast.
Oh man. Well, that other one I had, it had 4 gigs of RAM, but Windows 7 was only using 2.87 of it. There's something I don't know.
Because you were using a 32-bit version.
Yeah,
Oh, that's why.
yeah, it was horrible. It was just horrible, and now it's just smoking. So anyway, but the thing of it is, I only mention that because the company, it's specific for financial markets, and so and this company doesn't put the bloatware stuff. They only put just the basics on there. So, but I don't do my banking on there. Instead, I log into all my big accounts with my stuff in it. Ooh, that makes me nervous now. I don't think they've put a backdoor in there.
Where you use Linux though, or PCBSD whenever you're doing any
Yes.
of your banking stuff.
Yeah, exactly. And I prefer. I also do it on a wired connection too. So.
Oh, that's actually smart.
Hmm.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
So anyway, that's my news.
Okay. Thanks, Matt.
Yeah.
Links in the show notes to the stories.
Um,
The second one is especially good if you want to laugh.
Hey, but I think the news of this episode is going to really kind of slant toward the security. Did you see that article? It was a few days ago, where apparently the largest SIM card
Oh
manufacturer
yeah,
in the world. I think they're
Yeah,
based in the
China.
Netherlands. No, they're based in the Netherlands.
Yeah, but I thought the factory was
Gemalto?
in China.
I don't know. Maybe it is. but apparently U.S. and British intelligence had hacked that network
Yes,
and got the
eating
keys.
it up.
Oh my God.
Wow, yeah.
So yeah. So if you have a SIM card, basically the NSA has your key.
Yeah. Send a Freedom of Information
Yeah.
request out to Utah. Um, I do have one little news article, and this one is Google calls FBI's plan to expand hacking power a monumental constitutional threat.
It's horrible.
Oh my gosh, yeah. Google is warning that the government's quiet plan to expand the FBI's authority to remotely access computer files amounts to a monumental constitutional concern. The search giant submitted public comments earlier this week opposing a Justice Department proposal that would grant judges more leeway in how they can approve search warrants for electronic data. I'll tell you, you know, and then when you think about the body of legislators that are, and there are a lot of older folks who.
You know what? That's why I'm a big fan of those signs.
Which signs?
The signs that say we have not been asked, we have not been presented with a whatever that secret court warrant is.
Mm-hmm.
Says we haven't been presented with that, and then as soon as you no longer see that sign, that's when you stop doing business there.
Yeah. But anyway, it's concerning, and so I did get that article, and I'm going to put a link to that in the show notes. Tony?
All right. Well, I found a few things. Actually, I set up my my news aggregator on my own cloud again.
Did you?
And yeah, it's really easy. And there's an app on your phone, so you can just you manage all of your feeds from one spot.
Mhm.
You can do it on your phone and any computer you go to.
Don't tell Matt about that because he doesn't like that.
It's really cool.
You can use it only once.
But anyway, so I found one that, and they actually talked about it on NPR a lot recently, is
Mhm.
how Obama is encouraging companies to report cyber threats. And I think the idea behind it, the intent, is really cool. Where like it'll bring, instead of every individual company managing security threats individually and not talking to anybody else, it's supposed to bring it all together so that whenever one company sees a new security threat,
Smoke
then
and mirrors.
other people would be able to get.
Yeah.
Yes, and in this
Possibly.
article, actually, it says that if you don't anonymize the data you send, like if the company sends it to Homeland Security for this this new thing, then they said it's not our fault that you didn't anonymize it. Now we have some of your data.
Exactly.
And
It's
that
smoke
they
and
said
mirrors.
and that's not something that we're going to deal with for a policy. That's something that legislators are going to have to deal with.
Hmm.
It's also that the trench coat guys can get more of your shit. So
Yeah,
Mhm.
well, I think that's where if it was if it wasn't a government agency running it,
Trench
if it
coat
was
guys.
a nonprofit, then I think that would be better.
yeah, like in the old.
Oh,
spy
I was
movies,
thinking of the other trench coat guys. I'm sorry, Matt.
shows you where Mary's mind lives.
Sorry, Tony.
It's all right.
You know, look at that, Matt. Tony's talking seriously, and
Blush,
we just
made him blush over there.
we
Right?
just
You did.
we
huh?
just trashed your story. We're very
I don't
sorry.
know. Maybe you're naturally ruddy.
Red.
Maybe
in
I
these
haven't
in
met-
this lighting, I am.
Yeah. Yeah, it's really good on your skin, Tony. All right.
um,
So,
so I thought that was it's an interesting idea, like I said, but there's definite problems with it.
mhm.
And then I had a second story. And where did it go?
It went below the first story. I have no
Deb
Oh.
Null, the bit
Oh, actually,
bucket.
no. What the name of it didn't come up right when I placed it in. There's an update on the TrueCrypt.
Oh,
Oh yeah.
I
Yeah.
missed that. What's going on?
That they have finally gotten to the part where they've gotten somebody to agree to continue on with the where'd
The
it go?
audit.
The
Yeah.
audit?
Yeah, but I
Because I remember
closed it thinking
contributing
I
a
had
little
the
bit, I
right-
think, to the first phase of it. Do you want me?
Oh.
Well, is that part of your security bit update?
Yeah.
Because if you want to do that, I can do my cool tool and you can come back to it. Are you ready?
Yeah. Why don't you do your cool tool?
Okay. So that's the end of the news. the hardcore news. Now we're going on to Mary's cool tool, and then Tony will be your security bit.
All right.
All right. Well, this week's cool tool is a little tool, and actually anybody who's on my Google Plus stream saw this late yesterday. It's called CalCurse. No, it's, as I said yesterday on my Google Plus stream, it's not a utility that helps you curse your calendar when you've double booked yourself. But it.
I want to interrupt for a second.
Go
Mary.
ahead. Yeah.
I had it backwards.
Yeah, that's what it's all about.
I had it backwards.
What's that?
It was bugging me, so I had to look it up. It was originally called Matt's Trace Route, and now it's called My Trace Route.
Oh, okay. Well, no, thanks for setting the record straight.
So I had it backwards. I am sorry.
Okay. That's Matt setting the record straight
Yeah, it was
segment,
bugging me.
which
It was,
will probably be a regular segment.
it was bugging me. I'm like, did I remember that right?
That's,
Anyway, I had to
no,
look it up.
yeah, that's good. I'm glad to know that. Seriously. All right, so getting in with this cool tool, it's called CalCurse. Now, CalCurse is a text-based calendar and scheduling application. It will help you keep track of events, appointments, everyday tasks. It also has a configurable notification system that will remind you of upcoming deadlines. And the curses-based, or ncurses, whatever, curses-based interface can be customized, and including changing the background color and everything to suit your needs. They've got an online help system, and so what I did is I downloaded it. Now, if you run a Debian-based distro, you should be able to install it from the repository, but I, of course, took the hard route because I didn't know that at the time, and I compiled it from source, but it was so easy. I mean, you just got to have the the GCC compiler
Right.
and
Or
curses,
Clang, probably.
yeah,
Clang
whatever
will
it
also
is.
work.
Yeah.
Because did you install it on Linux or on PCBSD?
Linux, my home one. But anyway, so that's what I did to get it on there, and it only took a few minutes because it's a very small program. So to start CalCurse, all you have to do is type the name of the program on the command line, and then what'll happen is you'll get a default layout that will show your appointments listed on the left, and then stacked on the right is your to-do list, and then the upper right corner is the calendar. What you can do then is reconfigure the way that things are laid out if that's not your preference. And there's a tutorial there that will show you how to do that. It also has two modes. It's got an interactive command, well, I call it interactive command line mode because to get to it, it reminds me of Vi, or where you do the little colon and then you get in.
Well, in Vi, you get into interactive mode by pressing I, and then you get back into normal mode by pressing.
Yeah, it's the spirit of
Escape.
that. Yeah, but it's so you can get into that via the keyboard or you, excuse me, let me just backtrack a little bit. Has two modes. There's the interactive command line mode where you can do the entry just from the command line, or you can just use the various keyboard commands.
Yeah, once it's
to do
running,
it.
I'm sure it has shortcuts.
Yeah, exactly, and that's what I meant. All right. I see I spent all my time on that review. I didn't get a chance to really polish this, but it can, and also it can run in the background too, so that you don't really have it up. It's just running as kind of a daemon in the background. Like most tools of this type that are ncurses based, there's a panel at the bottom with the keyboard actions for the mode you're in. The CalCurse websites have some really nice screenshot and other documentation that will show you where you go to configure things, how you can set various views up and that type of thing. Now, one thing that really wasn't clearly laid out on their website, and I had to poke around a little bit to figure it out, is to add an appointment. When you've got it open, which is how I did it, you just simply hit Control A, and then you just add the appropriate information, start time. Well, first of all, you've got to make sure that the proper day is highlighted for this appointment. And then you just simply add the start time, the end time, what the event is, or appointment, whatever it is, and then just save it. If you want to add a to-do item, you just do Control T, and it's the same thing. For the to-do list, you have the ability to add a priority to that particular task. So I think anybody who uses a tiling window manager may find this to be a very useful way to track appointments and to-do lists.
Why would the fact that they use a tiling window manager make this more effective?
Because it will just match the rest of their, because if they're running a tiling window manager, they probably have a lot of ncurses apps flying around their desk.
Mm, technically, tiling manager, you can run X. It's X.
You can run
running,
X,
and
yes.
You can run, and in those tiles, you run X program.
Yes, and I have done that when I
Yeah.
reviewed. I think it was it the Awesome Window
I,
Manager?
I think what you may be thinking about, or what I would think,
System
is if somebody's running
administrators.
TMUX or Screen,
Where
and
you've
they
got a bunch
split
of
it up
different-
into multiple
Yeah, or
Maybe
yeah,
that's what it
ones.
is.
in the
That
same
could be.
window, then this would be great because it's still command line based.
Hmm. Yeah,
Yeah.
that. Thanks for saving me, Tony. That's what it was. But anyway, so there's going to be a link to that site along with a couple of nifty screenshots in the show notes. But again, that's CalCurse, and the site is calcurse.org, calcurse.org, and that's Mary's cool tool.
All right. So going on to a security bit and another update on the TrueCrypt audit.
Okay.
And
So
how's
I know
it going?
Mary's been covering most of these, but I happened to see the article this week. And just as a recap, 2013 was when they started the crowdfunded project to do a audit of TrueCrypt. And if you're not familiar what TrueCrypt is, it's a now defunct or closed project to do a full disk encryption of your hard drive or partitions and stuff. And what happened in 2014, they just closed up and said, "Oh, we're not doing it anymore. Consider it insecure." The TrueCrypt did.
Yeah, the maintainers.
So
Yeah.
this
The
and
anonymous maintainers.
in 2013 to 2014, before they closed up, they got the part one of the audit done,
Right.
which was just looking at the basic coding of how the program ran. And part two was going to be
The
looking
deep dive.
at the cryptography of TrueCrypt. And before they got to that point,
They were killed. They were killed by the NSA.
they closed up shop, and it threw a lot of questions up in the air, saying, should we even continue with this,
Right. Or is it
uh,
really insecure? Just the TrueCrypt devs not want to deal with it anymore?
right?
blah.
And then also that now that there's forks of TrueCrypt, which version or what fork or what version are they going to continue their audit on?
Hmm.
And they decided to now they've decided some of the discussions, and they're going to stick with the TrueCrypt 7.1a, which was their latest version before they
Folded shop.
folded up, right? And then they're going to continue from there. They said to save on money, they didn't set a specific start date, so that's why you haven't seen anything yet. But they're going to continue on and look at that. So you can make a decision on the cryptography from the TrueCrypt 7.1a, and the forks from there is you're going to have to then look at those individual ones if yourself after the audit is done.
Is there any kind of a Kickstarter or donation page to fund the second phase?
There is, and where I saw the link on there.
Will it be in the show notes?
Yes, I'll put it in the show notes.
Excellent.
Yes, excellent.
Thank you.
I'm sorry, I piggybacked off your comment.
Oh, they said that
I'm saying the last word of everything you say. The last two
Really?
words. Last two words.
there's a new
Yeah.
nonprofit that's doing this cryptography audit,
Okay.
and it's the NCC Group, Groups Tech Cryptography Services,
Hmm.
which grew out of ISEC. So yeah,
Great.
check it out. Yeah,
Thank you, Tony.
you're welcome. Initial. No, I don't even see that link. It says that they are continuing to accept, but maybe it's
Mhm.
on this page. But all right.
All right.
So what's up next?
Listener.
Listener feedback. And
It's listener feedback time.
that phone number is 734-258-7009.
And someone used a new number.
They did, and
and
Yes.
then complained about it.
that's right. Because our last couple ones, I forgot to cut that out, and it showed and it played the old phone number.
Oh,
Ah,
I thought. Oh,
That's why I
yeah. We should
complained
just
about it.
chop that thing.
Well, I
Tony has fixed it now.
yeah.
Okay, that's good.
Now the
Um,
trucker Rich has said, "Your freaking number's wrong."
Yeah, and that is we heard from Trucker Rich,
That's
which
right.
was good to hear from him.
I'm trying to go back to the email. Where is it at? It came in just hours after our show last time, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Or was it a week after?
I don't know. I thought it was right away because you posted the show like last week, like an hour after we were done. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
I emailed it to you guys.
Oh, you did email it, and I think I believe that I have it.
yeah, I have it.
I have it in my voicemail. I just gotta find where the link
Okay,
is.
I think.
Oh, there it is.
Anyway,
I might have
well-
accidentally deleted it. Oh, you know what? I did delete it because I'm like, Tony's always got a copy.
I think this is it.
I think there's a fatal flaw in that line.
Yeah, here it is. Okay. We'll play a little bit of the beginning, but do you want me to play the whole
No,
3
because
minutes?
it was quite lengthy.
And it cut them off.
Yeah.
Apparently, Google Voice has a 3-minute cap.
A lot of answering places have a 3-minute cap.
For
Yeah.
future reference.
So put a timer on. After 3 minutes, hang
Yeah.
up and then call us back
My-
and finish your
My
thought.
voicemail for my phone has a 3-minute cap. If you go longer than 3 minutes, it cuts you off.
Oh yeah.
Because anybody leaving a 3-minute long message, God, you just don't need to hear the rest of it after 3 minutes. Just go away.
Should
What-
just be regular
My
conversation.
mom often gets cut off. No.
So it's kind of like a TLTL. TLTLT.
Too long didn't listen.
Too long to listen to.
Too long.
All right. So
That would be.
Hey, Sunday morning, Linux Reading. It's Trucker Rich here, and I just had a few things to say real quick. First of all, Tony, congratulations on the house. I encourage everyone to call the number and congratulate Tony on his new house. It's always exciting when you move into a new place like that. Also, I missed the old number. It was underappreciated. Let's run it down real quick. 313 times 2 is 626. Everyone knows somebody that drives a Mazda 626. How easy is that to remember? 313626. And then 9140. I mean, you can make a little jingle. In 1991, I was sitting on a hot bench drinking a 40. Watching Star Trek. I like Joey.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I was dancing by that point.
Oh, I love Trucker Rich.
New number is hard to remember, that's for sure. All right, now, a while back, Bruce parents, everybody, well, maybe if, I don't know, you can tell people who Bruce.
I totally agree with his opinion on Bruce Perrins. Are we going to include his old message in the show, or are we going to have it as an extra download that people can get? Because he hits the
Mhm.
nail on the head with Bruce Perrins, I think. He's right up there with Stallman. They both need to go.
I'll just paste it right in with the whole show.
Okay.
It'll be put right in.
Yeah, I think that'd be good. So thanks for calling, Trucker Rich. We appreciate it, like
Yep.
we always do.
Yeah. Yeah. Anybody else want to call in?
Yeah.
And it's actually, it might be hard to,
And if
to
you-
remember, but if you look at your numpad, it's an arrow down. 258 is down the center, or on a computer or on a phone, not on a computer.
on my computer.
On the computer, yeah,
it's
Backwards.
It's 258-7009, so it's like an arrow on a phone number pad. But
Okay.
all right,
All right.
It kind of is.
I have to go.
I can totally see that.
All right.
Mary's,
All right.
Mary's class was supposed to start a half hour ago.
Yeah,
so-
there-
Well,
yeah.
not supposed to. It did start a half hour ago.
That's
Mary
right.
just
And I'm
wasn't
not in my
there.
seat. All right. And I think we got something from Guillaume.
Yes.
Yeah, various
Our
stuff.
our friend Guillaume.
Yes.
I say various stuff because that's what he actually named his email.
Yeah, various stuff.
Various stuff.
Yes, he did. He talked about the footnoting. I think he had an example of one that he had used, or at least
The Zentro.
yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
and then he talked about TarSnap. Do I have
Yeah.
that right? I think I
Yes.
don't have it open. I do recall that
Yes.
discussion with TarSnap. And then the free file sync, which apparently he used on the front end to prepare the file, and then it goes up to TarSnap. So I thought that was a kind of interesting approach, and I want to look into that. So Guillaume, thanks for writing in. And then he also talked about that. It's not the Raspberry Pi, but it was another.
Raspberry Pi 2
Yeah, he talked about
and the
there's
Odroid
another.
C1.
Yes, I took a look at that. That's
No,
a pretty
he
slick.
doesn't use. I don't think he uses FreeNAS. He mirrors everything to his FreeNAS server.
Oh, did I have that wrong?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I wasn't looking at it, so I was
No,
from
he,
that faulty
he talks
memory.
about all of that.
He
both-
does talk about
all three.
TarSnap further down, but
Okay. Well, there, I just forgot that other FreeNAS piece. So,
All right. And then we've had an
number of comments on our site.
yeah. One comment was spam. Scott emailed in about the missing link for the MDP. Did you put that in the old show notes, or did you just email him back?
I emailed them back, and then I also put it in the show notes. I uploaded it, so it's in the show
Cool.
notes.
All right, so it's in the show notes. Mary sent about course. We had a listener or a note in the or a comment on the webpage, and I don't know if it was approved or not. I got to get in and check that.
I wouldn't approve. I approved one this morning that was sitting there.
Okay, and it's basically the links again or for MDP, and there's a project page, a demo page,
Apparently
and the
people-
authors
yeah.
page. Yeah,
Yeah,
I
somebody
think Matt should
provided
use
some-
this as his presentation software.
I
for,
vote. I vote for that
I
too.
will look into it
I think
because
you-
right now my entire presentation is written up in plain text format and Kwrite.
Oh,
And
you
it
should-
says slide 1 on slide notes, slide 2 on slide notes. Slide
you should look into that
Yeah.
program because you can do some cool little things, but it's just looks
Can
like a
I-
terminal.
because like when I use LibreOffice and make my presentation in LibreOffice, I can do things like have a block of text and then I'll make another piece up here underneath of it, and then a little further after I talk a little bit another
Fly-ins,
piece
you
up here.
mean?
Yeah,
Animations?
yeah, but not
I
for the
don't
whole
know.
I don't-
slide. I
Just
wa-
each
yeah,
bullet
I don't
comes
care.
in.
I don't care if the bullet's flying or not. I just want them to not be on the screen, and then after I've said something, then for them to appear.
Well, I think what you just simply do is make 4 slides, one with one bullet, one with 2
That's
bullets.
just a pain in my ass.
Okay.
Although Matt,
I don't know.
Kwrite doesn't do that either.
I know, but then I take what I have in Kwrite
All right.
is my outline, and I do it in Kwrite first so that I can scroll back because I did
I'm
it
gonna
last night where I took my slide 7 and now moved it and is now my slide 19. You know what I
Okay,
mean?
sure.
So
Yeah, I don't know. I don't see it. I mean, I'm looking at a.
I'll look at it for sure because it's
A demo
definitely
thing
interesting
on
and
it, but-
definitely fits with my presentation. So
Yeah. All right. What else do we have?
I have to go back several weeks to
What?
Tom.
Friend of the show, Tom D?
No,
Okay.
Tom B.
Mhm.
And he asked about using Glacier for backups
Oh, yeah.
and scripting it.
Yes.
And I did a little looking into it, and
You were wrong?
I don't think it can be done easily.
Oh, okay.
I definitely think you should look at TarSnap. Okay,
Mm.
because it's much easier to do, and Michael Lucas has a book coming out on it
Yes, he does.
shortly. I think the ebook version of it's going to be out sometime this month.
Yeah, that's what
Yeah,
that's what
and
he
the
said.
print version next month.
And I wonder what the cover's going to look like because on the cover of that sysadmin book, it had like these mushrooms.
Do you
And
know
I was
why?
well, yeah. Let me just explain what
Okay.
I first thought. I first thought, okay,
That
it's
you
the
gotta
old,
be on psychedelics to understand networking.
not those kind of mushrooms. No, I thought it was because the poor sysadmins on network, they're in the dark, and the
Oh,
network
yeah.
people feed them a little
Piece of shit.
little crap every once in a while, keep them in the dark. But no, it's the
Network.
the interconnectedness of
Yes.
the mushroom patch.
Do you know why he chose that though? It's
No,
the largest living organism anywhere in the world.
it's in the
is
UP.
a fungus.
In the UP.
Is it in the UP?
Mhm.
I thought it was in Oregon.
No, UP.
You
Mhm.
sure?
I'm doing a math. Yes.
Okay, I'll defer to you on this one.
All right. Let's bet.
No.
Oh, well, conviction convinces. No, at one time the biggest one was in the UP, and for people who may not know, that's shorthand for Upper Peninsula.
Yes.
All
People
right,
who live above the bridge, unlike us trolls.
trolls who
below
live below the bridge.
it.
I refuse to be a troll. All right. What else we got?
I think that's it. We got a song.
We got a cool song.
Yeah, it is very cool.
Matt will like it.
No. I hate when people tell me that. It makes me want to just not like it on general principle.
All right. You're gonna hate this song, Matt.
Okay.
All right, Tony, you gonna?
All right, I'm bringing it up. Oh, first we need our sound bite.
Featured music of the week.
And this song is by Circus, Circuz, and it's called Amiguita.
Amiguita?
Amiguita. I don't know. They're from Miami, so yeah, I'll leave it at that. Here you go. Maybe. I clicked on it. I'm waiting. I guess I clicked too fast.
We can hum.
While we're waiting for it to load up. By the way, if you decide to listen to any of this other music,
Oh, we
it's
never
not
discussed
like
my
this
shirt.
one.
Oh,
For those of you watching on the live feed, I am wearing a Hawaiian shirt. In case you
how would
saw
you like a
this.
nice Hawaiian punch?
No thanks. And for those of you listening, I am also wearing a Hawaiian shirt.
Yeah, it's very.
Now,
It's,
there could be two reasons for this. The first reason could be that I am totally sick of this winter. We've had a very, very cold couple of weeks
Mhm.
here in Detroit, and
Mhm.
I'm ready for the warm weather, and I'm trying to bring it on by wearing my Hawaiian shirt. Or the alternate answer is I haven't done laundry in 4 weeks, and this was the only clean shirt I had left.
I'm going with that one.
Right.
I'm going with that one, Matt. I just can't help
You'd be a
myself.
wise person.
You smell okay though.
I've showered. I just haven't done the laundry.
All right. You haven't showered your clothes. You showered
Correct.
you.
You're right.
Oh, there's an efficiency. Just wear them.
Wear them in the shower.
Okay. All right, Tony, how you doing there? We've stalled long enough because you saw where we went with it.
Yeah, and here we go.
Yeah.
I don't hate it.
It's one of the few songs that had a printable title. Yeah. Puerto Rican.
So that's cool stuff. If you happen to look at his other stuff on Jamando,
We don't
it's
encourage you to.
not exactly family friendly. No, I encourage it's
I like the song. I mean, I
not
like
my
the.
kind of music, but it's good.
Mhm.
You know, I mean, if I were into rap and that kind of music, then
Rap.
yeah, that's his other.
His other
the
thing
rest
is
of
rap.
his stuff.
But I-
because that wasn't rap.
No.
And it's
it
not
was a
family
good
friendly. It
electronic.
says parental advisory all over it. There's a lot
Yeah.
of cursing. And
In other
swear
words,
words.
it's probably good music.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is
There
this
you
is
go.
the
All
only
right.
song out of all of his music.
All right.
Um,
Well,
Anyway, it's very cool. So take a look at that. And so we've come to the end of the show. You've been listening to the Sunday Morning Linux Review. This was episode 145.
Yeah, I was gonna say we went back in time like.
well, he's closer than when he was the first time he said it.
Right, 145.
We're back.
It's back.
It's back.
It's back.
It's back.
Well, we're back too. But we'll be back hopefully.
In 2 weeks.
in 2 weeks. That's right.
That's right. This is Tony Bemis.
Matt Enders
And Mary Tomich.
saying, see you next time.
Bye bye.
Say bye.
Bye. They kind of got that from the see you next time.
All right.
All right. Bye,
And if
YouTubers.
they didn't, they're mildly retarded.
All right.